Hello, writers! I'm Kristen Kieffer, and you are listening into the Well-Storied podcast, where I take articles from the Well-Storied blog and transform them into audio so you can listen in on the go. Today we are discussing a brand new article on the blog called Have You Chosen the Right Main Character to Tell Your Story? Today's article, and thus our episode, is pretty comprehensive, so I'm really going to jump in here without much, further ado. But if you would like to read along as you listen into today's episode of the podcast, make sure to head on over to well-storied.com/protagonist. You can find this link in today's episode description as well. Ready to get started? Have you chosen the right main character to tell your story? Main characters can make or break a story's success. Oftentimes, the doubts we face as we work to bring our main characters to life can seem endless. Are our protagonists well-rounded enough? Are they interesting? Will readers root for them to achieve their goal? Choosing the right main character to carry the weight of your story is absolutely vital, but knowing whether you've selected the perfect protagonist can be tricky. Or is it? Truth is, knowing you've chosen the right main character for your story doesn't have to be complicated. Here's why. Can your protagonist carry the weight of your story? A successful main character must be able to bear the weight of your story's plot. But what exactly does that mean? A few things, actually. Let's break them down. First, your character must have a stake in the story. As events in your story begin to unfold, is there a reason your protagonist gets drawn into them? Perhaps a better question would be, what's at stake for your protagonist if they don't get involved? How is the price of inaction worse than the potential consequences of action? If your main character could just as easily stay out of the mire of your story's plot and really face little consequence as a result, you likely haven't chosen or crafted a character who can truly carry the weight of your story's plot. And secondly, your character must interact with the story's theme. Think your story doesn't have or need a theme? Think again, my friend. Even the most action-driven stories are built on theme, which is just another word for the main subject or subjects a book discusses. Not convinced? Just think of Indiana Jones and its themes of good versus evil, family, forgiveness, and integrity, or Jason Bourne and identity, corruption, and injustice. Talk about two action-heavy series, right? Themes define stories. All stories. And so strong protagonists must be able to not only interact with those themes, but interact with them in ways that other characters could not. In other words, it's time to make things personal for your protagonist. Tell a story that only they could tell. What makes the stakes and themes in a story so important? Simply put, it's the stakes characters face that push them to action, while themes are discussed as a result of that action. So naturally, a character must be able to carry the weight of both of these elements if they're to serve as a powerful protagonist. But just because a character can carry the weight of these elements doesn't mean they're automatically the right character to serve as the protagonist of your story. There remains one more element we need to discuss. Let's ask the following question. Does your protagonist have the right perspective? Your main character is the lens through which readers will see your story, so ensuring they present readers with the right lens is key. But how can you know which character will best serve this vital role? Again, we go back to theme, or to be more specific, thematic statements. Oftentimes, authors choose to discuss certain themes in their stories because they want to address those themes head-on. What they wish to say about each theme via their story's plot or character arcs is known as a thematic statement. As we discussed in our article and episode on themes, authors should not view thematic statements as an opportunity to bash readers over the head with a specific message. Rather, a good thematic statement allows readers to draw conclusions about the story's themes as a result of the protagonist's experiences. Confused? I'd recommend checking out our articles or episodes on theme and character arcs. I have linked those for you in the transcript for today's episode at well-storied.com/protagonist. Knowing your thematic statement is key to choosing the right protagonist for your story for one simple reason. There are endless statements an author can make about one single theme, and only certain characters can make those statements. Let's talk about the theme of family, for example. Through the main character's arc, an author can make any of these statements about family. Family will always have your back. You should stay loyal to family, no matter what. You don't have to maintain relationships with toxic family members. Your parents' failures don't have to define who you are. Family isn't always blood. Families aren't always perfect, but they're still family. So, what statements do you want to make about the themes in your stories? Once you've defined your answer, it's time to consider whether the main character you've chosen for your book is truly the best character to relate this thematic statement. If they don't have the right perspective, they won't be able to serve as the proper lens, and your story's thematic statement may fall flat. Need an example? Let's look at The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Spoilers ahead. One of the main themes in The Lord of the Rings is the corruption of power. The statement that Tolkien makes about this topic is that even the lowest among us have the power to fight corruption. This is why Frodo of the lowly hobbit race is chosen by Tolkien to carry the ring, the symbol of corruption, to be destroyed in the fires of Mordor. If Tolkien had given any of his other prominent characters this role, his story wouldn't have had the same impact. Case in point, Gandalf is a wizard and a demigod. Aragorn is a long-lost heir to a wealthy kingdom. Gimli is of a race of master craftsmen with great ambitions, and Legolas is of an ancient, powerful race of elves. None of these characters closely resemble the everyday reader Tolkien was trying to reach. But Frodo is of the simple hobbit folk. He has no claim to power or fame, no incredible skill. He sets out only with a strong moral compass and a simple desire for something more than what he's been given. And that is why his perspective on the world makes him the perfect main character to carry the weight of Tolkien's story. What else makes for a powerful protagonist? If you've chosen a character who can carry the weight of your story, who has a stake in the story's plot and the right perspective with which to tell the story you'd like to tell, you've likely chosen the right main character for your book. Now it's time to make sure you've crafted a strong main character, one that captivates readers' interests and drives the story's narrative. How can you do just that? Simple. Step 1. Make them human. Strong characters have depth and complexity, so take the time to create a character who is as real as the people around you. How? Get started with our article on the 33 ways you can write stronger characters, or our free video on crafting well-developed characters. You can find both of these in our transcript at well-storied.com/protagonist. Step number 2, give them a journey. Strong characters aren't pushed around by your story's plot. They push it. How so? By having a strong goal and the motivation to achieve it. So don't skip out on plotting a powerful story that only your protagonist can tell. Again, I have links for you on strong goals, motivations, and plotting powerful stories, all of which you can find in our transcript at well-storied.com/protagonist, link in the episode description. And finally, if you'd like even more guidance as you begin building a strong protagonist for your story, make sure to check out Crafting Incredible Characters. This 105-page digital workbook is specifically designed to make the process of crafting characters that leap off the page in full-fledged glory simple, sure, and powerful. You can learn more and grab your copy today at well-storied.com/incredible-characters. Once again, links for you in the episode description below. Writers, friends, rock stars, thank you so much for listening in to today's episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. So, have you chosen the right main character to tell your story? Have you thought much about the stakes that your character might face as a result of your plot, or how the themes and thematic statements of your story can really prove that you've chosen that right main character? I hope you'll take some time today to examine your protagonist and make sure that they're really the strongest and most powerful protagonist that they can be. That's really how we make our stories great, right? By going back over what we've already created and making sure that we're shoring up all of our defenses, ironing out our weaknesses, and strengthening the things that we already consider strengths. In any case, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give it a like or a rating or review depending on where you're listening in from, and don't forget to subscribe to receive all the future episodes of the podcast. If you have a few bucks to spare this month and would like to support the podcast and all that I create for Well-Storied, you can do so by hopping on over to patreon.com/well-storied. That is where I have a Patreon account, and you can donate a small amount each month to continue to help Well-Storied, the podcast, everything that I create for Well-Storied really, to grow and to just help even more writers. So if you'd like to take part in that, make sure to head on over to patreon.com/well-storied. Writers, thank you so much for listening in again. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to share more with you soon. I will see you guys next time. Bye.